the Jaden Rashada situation. To me, while it is fun to engage in schadenfreude and watch Florida look terrible in the eyes of probably recruits everywhere, and that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Here's this California kid who is he's a highly rated quarterback, not a can't miss. He ends up choosing Miami, then deciding to go to Florida. All right, fast forward, because this is all that any of you care about. And that is that allegedly that deal was worth $13 million. Now, I've gone through and talked to a lot of people familiar with Florida's collective, and there's an argument about whether it was just north of $9 million or whether or not there was the added year, which would take it to $13 million. It doesn't really matter. What matters now is that this thing fell to pieces. And it got me thinking that not only does that look terrible for them, it does speak to sort of an uneasiness that administrations have with collectives if not done correctly. It does speak to a lack of organization. It does speak to real problems for the University of Florida, most importantly for Coach Napier, who's off to a very, very rocky start. Tragic. But that said, I wanted to know, what is the most important thing beyond money that a collective has to be capable of? So you're going to start with the first answer is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, as many as you want, 1 through 5 of the first 10. It is money. You have to have the money to offer the kids. Got it. Everybody understands that. We're all on the same playing field here. You got to have some cash to disperse amongst the players. Got it. But I think from there, it's getting interesting, because if you read into that Florida situation, there are competing elements of the collective. There are separate collectives. There are egos everywhere. And that's where I want to start. You have to have an organization that is egoless. You have to have an organization that's buttoned up, organized, and egoless. You don't need 3 and 4 people deciding, I want to be known, a la Ruiz at Miami, as the guy who is standing next to the recruit before he ever steps foot on campus that I just signed. I don't need that. You don't want that. You want this to be a buttoned up, behind the scenes organization. Oh, sure, people are going to know what your firm or your collective, if you will, does. And they might know that, for example, every time a kid signs, he'll post something on his Instagram or Twitter account that says that he has signed with the Battle's End. But that is the extent, and I'm using them as an example, whether you want to use them or Rising Spirit, whatever you want to do. The point is, yes, you want to have a collective that is organized. Yes, you want to have a collective that's active, that has the money to do what is necessary to lure players, retain players, create stability, have it be a place desirous to recruits in the future because they know there's opportunities in the NIL world. You want all those things, but you don't want an out front, look at me kind of guy battling with 2 and 3 and 4 other out front, look at me kind of guys or gals. You want that to be a behind the scenes understanding of the way that we operate. You also need sustainability. So the next thing you're going to hear about in the NIL world, besides the need for some unilateral changes and parameters with which all schools are going to operate, is, can the collective find a way to be sustainable? Because while initially you may have a guy that is tired of seeing his university struggle on the football field, and he might have more money than sense, and he might decide, all right, this is kind of fun, screw it. I'll stroke the check for $10 million for our new roster, $15 million in total for our new roster, perhaps. But he or she is not going to do it year over year over year. It's a stupid investment. No, you've got to find a way to make it sustainable. And I suspect we're going to see collectives and the monies that are collected moving forward in order to disperse take the form of endowments. You have to have cooperative relationships and clear direction in the space. You've got to know what the university's expectations are, what the coaching staff's expectations are. We can pretend that they don't actually talk and figure out the game plan, but we all know that they do. You have to be on the same page. You can't have a situation where the agreed upon price for player A is $100,000, and then Jerry decides he doesn't want to be part of the collective, but he does want to be part of the process of seeing his team turn the corner, and he wants credit for it, so he's going to offer that player $9 million. Now we have a problem on our hands. Lawsuits to follow, no doubt. Got to be organized. It has to be sustainable, and you'd prefer it to be behind the scenes and egoless. You can't have competing forces within the collective realm. There can be more than one collective. They can't be competing collectives. And finally, and most importantly, this gets back to the sustainability. It has to be more than just a check. And I think we're going to learn, and there are some things I certainly know about currently that make me very, very happy with the direction of Florida State's collectives. And that is that it's more than I'll give you money. It's more than here is cash to come play. It's, do you know how to use this? Do you have access to information? Do you have access to expertise? It's one thing to give a kid $100,000. It's another to teach them how far that money can go and how it could set them up for the future if they never make a dime playing professional football. It's what keeps a kid who stumbles into money for the first time in his life from going to the local car lot and buying a $100,000 car with the $100,000 he just got, which is the totality of what he's going to get. And instead, maybe buying a $40,000 car or a $20,000 car or not a car at all. You've got to have the tools to teach in place and experts that are willing to do it. Once again, it has to be more than a check. Presumably, you'd like to have a good relationship with the university higher ups. That may take time. There's a lot of confusion in this realm. Florida, for example, University of, doesn't like their collective, doesn't like the people involved. They can't tell you that, but they don't. And it's happened before the Rashada situation. And now it's gotten uglier. That animosity, that acrimony is only growing. Good. Screw them. Hopefully they suck for years. Let's just hope it doesn't happen to us. So far, Florida State's off to a really good start in this realm.